Okay, go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Jonathan Jett. I'm a physical therapist assistant here at Las Palmas. I've been working in the field about 2.5 years.
Okay, how did you decide to enter this field?
Well, I've always been kind of in the fitness industry. Before, I actually worked as a personal trainer and worked as a general manager in the field, and so the interest of being very physical has always kind of been there. Also was in the gym quite a bit myself, so I kind of had a good understanding of the body and what it needed to stay fit. But what pulled me into this field was my grandfather actually had an aneurysm and 3 following strokes, and ended up needing to go to rehab. And after the rehab, he still had quite a bit to recover. And while I was working in the gym, I would take my grandfather to the gym and have him do some exercises just to try and recover as much as we could. So that kind of piqued my interest in the field. Later on, I ended up hurting my back and having a lumbar sprain, where I went and got therapy for myself, and that just kind of got the ball rolling, where I knew that this was definitely something that I could do, to help other people and other families.
Okay, what kind of education and training do you have?
Well, in order to get into in order to be a physical therapist assistant, you do need to have a license through the state. So I do have the PTA license, which I got through STC, and before that I did also have some certification in personal training, and I was also going to school for pre-pharmacy also. But in order to be in this field, you'd have to have the license as a physical therapist assistant. I think it's beneficial to help you along with it if you have more of a background in the area. It makes going through the courses a little bit more easy.
What are your activities and responsibilities on the job?
Well, I'd have to say one of the biggest and probably most important, aside from the patient care, is documentation. You have to be able to communicate yourself very well through writing. That way anything that you've done is clearly understood. In the instance if they want to approve or deny any of the work that you've done for reimbursement, as long as it's written very clearly, most of the time you'll get approved for getting reimbursed. The other thing is other responsibilities. I would say being financially responsible, because it's still a business and you're providing good patient care, but you also need to make sure that the equipment that you're using, the gels, the patches, and all the things like that, that you're using them to the best of the company's, I guess you could say, financial responsibility.
Okay, what do you like the most about your job, and what do you like the least about it?
What I like most about the job, I like the social interaction. Before, when I was pre-pharmacy, the reason why I lost my interest is because I had other friends in the field, and it was kind of single serving. You're behind the counter, you're providing the pills, and the patient will come and go. And what I like about this one is that you get the patient from beginning to end, and you get to see the actual results that you provide. And a lot of people that I've met here, I've told them that I'm happy to have met them, because I'd like to say that I've made many new friends, and then I had the chance to also be their therapist. So I'd have to say that for me, it's the socializing and the interpersonal skills that kind of are required for that.
And the least?
The least, in all honesty, in working here in the nursing home, it's just the nature of the environment, that some of the patients are going to pass away, and some of them just don't. Sometimes your goals for them is just higher than what is possible for their bodies, and there's moments where you kind of catch yourself, because you do get attached, and you catch yourself realizing, what, this person may not get better, and this is where their max potential is. So I would say in the part that I like the least is that there's some of them that you just have to accept that you can't help. And then I'm sure other people would say the down part is the documentation, because there's quite a bit of it that you have to do. But I enjoy my job so much that I don't mind doing that.
Okay, how much influence do you have over decisions that affect you?
Quite a bit. How this position works as a physical therapist assistant, we report directly to our supervising PT. So for example, he'll tell us, okay, for this patient, what I need you to do is I need you to use modalities, which is several different ways to either increase strength, reduce pain. But my point is he'll say use modalities, and that's kind of a general instruction. So anything under that, it's kind of up to your decision for you to do. So there's a lot of, I guess you could say, a lot of critical thinking that has to take place, and that makes those responsibilities on you. So if you do something that's wrong or do something that doesn't get a result, then that falls on you. But it requires a level of ownership of your own actions to where you would need to report back to your PT and say, look, this is what I've done, this didn't work, do you have any suggestions? So there's a lot of responsibilities that you have.
What do you find most difficult about your job?
I would say that there's a billion different diagnoses that are out there, and I think it's important for a person to recognize that you're not going to know everything, and if you're going to be in this field or any other field, you have to recognize that it's an always learning state of mind, so that if you see a diagnosis that you don't know, you need to go look it up, and sometimes what you look up, you need to look up on that too, because you find more things that are still new. So for me, it's kind of difficult, but I like the challenge because I like learning those new things. That way, when it comes up again, I know how to address it, or I know how to share that information for someone else. But the difficult part would be realizing that there's going to be tons of different things that you're going to have to take that extra step to go find more information on.
Okay. What about the job would you change if you could?
I would probably say there's times where I wish I could spend more time with a patient, and the thing is sometimes the way that they're being funded only allows them for, like, let's say 20 days, and you know that this patient could recover a lot more, but the government has only allowed them 20 days or 100 days. And so there's some instances in which the amount of time that the patient is allowed to get rehab is not in your hands and not in your control. So if there was something that I could change, it would probably be those boundaries that insurance or that Medicare or Medicaid has put. I think if there was a better... I understand that there's the business sense to it, and then there's the rehab sense. And if I could, in an imaginary world or something, I'd remove that business portion from it. That way we can help people more, but it's just the nature of the beast.
What sort of person do you have to be really good at this job?
I've actually been asked that before, and generally the answer that I give is that you have to be ready to serve. There's some people that they go into a job and they do it because of the financial reward, or they do it for the clout or the title, and that's great and all, but that sort of motivation will only go so far. I think when you're in the field, in order for you to be good at it, you have to genuinely love it, and you have to be ready to serve others, because when you work anywhere in the medical field, it's not about you, it's about helping somebody's grandmother or somebody's mother, somebody's brother, somebody's son, somebody's kid, and you're going to get them at different states during they could be right after heart surgery and they're scared and they're angry because they don't have control of the situation, and so sometimes they'll get overly aggressive, and you have to understand that it's the emotions they're dealing with and it's not necessarily you, so that when they ask you for towels or they ask you for water or all these things and it seems like they're going over the top, you have to realize it's their way of trying to get control of the situation, and so it takes a lot of patience and understanding, along with recognizing that you're here to help them. So I'd have to say it's understanding that you need to serve.
Okay, is there any specific advice you would give a person entering this field?
Specific advice. Yeah, I would say, which I think I think most medical fields require that you do voluntary work. So my big thing if they hadn't, and it's this field or any other field that you're interested in, and even if they don't require you to do voluntary work to get into the field, I would suggest to do voluntary work in as many of the different environments in that field as possible. That way you can see, is this really something I can see doing every day? Is this something that I can find passion and comfort in, and come home and sleep easy at night, that I've made good choices and things like that. The other thing is if they're interested in the field and you're going to start into the program and you've been accepted and that's what you're set on doing, I would also suggest that you read ahead on some of the material that other people that you've heard are having difficulties in. That way you can already be prepared for it when the teacher goes over it a second time.
Where do you expect to go from here?
In all honesty, I hope to one day be a DPT and go back to school for physical therapy, the doctor of physical therapy. That, or go back and continue on with my doctor of pharmacy program that I had been in. But I think this is a very good stepping stone for me because I've always wanted more. But on the same token, I can also find myself being very happy with this because when you go to those higher levels, there's a lot more paperwork with it. But what I like as a physical therapist assistant, you don't have as much paperwork and it's more the interaction with the patient. So I'm still kind of on the fence on whether I'm going to continue on forward with this or stay as a physical therapy assistant and just get more certifications for different techniques and basically hone my skills within the area that I'm at.
Okay, well, we're done. I just want to say thank you for letting me interview you.